Hello, my friends, and my lovely, lovely female groupies. This is Fred, and we're going to do QnA Volume 12. Ali asked, do you think that if we live in our heads for long enough, we'll eventually forget how to act in the real world? Well, Ali, that's a very good question. I think it's a chicken or egg scenario, really. Are isolated people bad at socializing because they spend too much of their time in their own heads? Or do they spend too much time in their heads because they are bad at socializing, which causes what to happen? I am very isolated. I am essentially a hermit. I am like one of those people in the 1800s who would live on their own in a lighthouse, never socializing, only reading books, and occasionally going up to turn off the light just to see boats crashing. But I'm not a lighthouse keeper, and but I still don't necessarily like to socialize with people. I'm not a party boy. I'm not extremely. Um, I don't like to socialize with humans, other humans. I don't like to be around other humans that much because they will judge me and make me aware of certain things that I'd rather be unaware of. So that causes some problems. I suppose I live in my head too much. I do live in my head too much, that's true. That's actually really true. That's a very good description of what I do. But it's a problem, and I think that if you have serious problems with isolation, you should talk to someone. You should talk to a professional. I've talked to a professional previously in my life, and they've helped me. I've also talked to professional people who haven't helped me, but that's because I wasn't really willing to talk to them. I was more, that's the thing. If you're going to have professional help, you need to be able, you need to be willing. You need to be there on your own accord. And that can be quite difficult when you prefer not to speak about personal issues. And but that's the thing that is nice about going to a psychiatrist, if you're going to go to a psychiatrist or a therapist, is that they like the fact that you talk about yourself. When I'm in a regular conversation with friends or family or teachers or any other authority figure, I can't go on about myself because they also want to. The person I'm speaking to also wants to be able to talk about their feelings and their emotions and all these stupid, pathetic things like that. But if you go to a therapist, the therapist is only interested in you, which can be quite appealing to some people. So, if you have a problem, this is going to be my advice to you. If you have a problem, you shouldn't be afraid of seeking professional help. Anonymous asked, why do Americans call everything by the wrong name? Well, you do call football soccer, which is quite annoying for many foreigners. For most people in the world, football is football, and according to you, is soccer, because you have another sport that has nothing to do with foots being called football. It's not even a ball. It's people running around with this sort of egg-shaped thing, holding it in their hands. It's not a football at all. But you want to call that sport football, which is fine, I suppose. But it's a bit of annoying. Americans are very stubborn, and that's why Americans still haven't accepted the metric system, even though it is undoubtedly better. Americans don't necessarily like to be wrong on anything because Americans are taught from a very young age that they are excellent. They are splendid, they are great, they can do anything they want to. Americans are taught from a very young age that they can one day be the president. And it's seen as a very likely possibility for every American parent think that their children could be the president. We don't grow up in Sweden being taught that one day we can be the prime minister. It's not really sexy in a way. It doesn't strike us as being we don't really want to be the prime minister. In America, if you're the president, you can get blowjobs, if you ask Bill Clinton, and you can start wars. I mean, it's fun to be the president of America. It's not fun to be the prime minister of Sweden. And also we have a king, so we can't really be the top. We can't, and the average Swede can't be the top. You have to have this. You have to be nobility. You have to be in line of succession. So it's a bit of a different thing. I mean, Europeans in general are taught that we should feel shame. Europeans are very good at feeling shame, and we're very good at hating ourselves. And that means that when Americans are wrong on something, they tend to have difficulties admitting that they are wrong. They tend to be quite hostile and angry to have been wrong. And as a result, most Americans tend to quite stubbornly refuse to admit that they were wrong, if they were wrong on something. And that's why also Americans have a tendency to say, why the fuck should I care? Fuck you, why should I care? That sort of statement is quite common when you see Americans being wrong online, on forums and so on. Whereas if a European is proven wrong, they tend to go into a very depressive, angry state of hating themselves and drinking a lot. And you might argue that it's better to be American and love yourself. And you're probably right, but it still means that American idiots are far more prominent and annoying than European idiots, because European idiots can't be seen, because they choose to isolate themselves from society. And that's quite nice. I mean, but on the subject of Americans calling things the wrong way, I am very annoyed at the fact that Americans call what is an elk for moose. The animal that Americans call moose is an elk. The Latin name for moose is alcus, and the Scandinavian word for moose is related to that, the elk. In Swedish it is älg. So when Americans call the elk, the magnificent elk, a moose, I get very annoyed, especially as moose is becoming the standard word in British English as well. And that's enough reason for me to be anti-American. Fuck you, America. Mock Mock asked, do you have any plans to make a real Minecraft or any other game series? Not really. I mean, the thing is, let's playing and doing video game commentary, it's not really it's a very overcrowded market. It's not something that one can just naturally throw themselves into and expect to be successful. There's a lot of people right now on YouTube trying to replicate the success of more famous internet personalities. So it's not really that tempting. It seems like it seems like jumping on some sort of bandwagon in some ways. There's too many people who do it. I suppose that I do have some platform to jump off now, but yeah, I'd rather be interested in doing something else if I can. I like to do these things. I like to do some sort of interaction with people. I like comedy in general, so if I can manage to find something to do in the future based on what I am doing right now, I mean some sort of regular type of series, that would be great, and I would find that really satisfying and entertaining, but probably not a let's play. I might at some point do a let's play just for fun and see how it is, but I would not say that I have any plans for it. Not at all, really. Liza asked, do you ever wish you were someone else? The problem I have when imagining being someone else is that I always worry about what that other person who has switched bodies would do with my body. I would spend most of my time worrying over the misuse of my body, and if someone else got access to my body, they would find all my secrets and all my shameful, very, very shameful, hidden secrets I have. And that would worry me, you know. So I wouldn't want to be someone else on that basis. Because, but you know, if I could be someone else, without having to give them my body, I don't know who I would choose. You know, if I wanted to be very experimental, I would pick someone very different from me, so I could say that I have had a true experience, experiencing the life of someone else. You know, I could perhaps change body with you, Liza. You know, I imagine that you are a very fashionable woman. You probably work in the fashion industry, not as a model or as a designer, but just as a sort of person who keeps control of everything. You know, you have one of those haircuts that look like two different haircuts pushed together. Like one side of your hair is dyed red and very straight, and the other side of your hair is blonde and curly and gigantic. And you sort of wear these very tight black clothing and dresses, and you don't have time for any real emotions. You're only out after sex and pleasure. And maybe that could be interesting to live that life for a few weeks. I mean, the thing is, it might be nice. I mean, it would be nice to be able to experience someone else's life. It would be amazing from a philosophical and psychological perspective. But you know, the fact is, it will never happen really in our future. I mean, the closest we have to living someone else's life is video games and virtual life, virtual experiences. So I suppose that's where we're going. The problem with video games at the moment is they don't really offer you that much interesting characters to play as. Most video games want to make you play as yourself, which is quite annoying really. It's, you know, you're playing a game like Dishonored. I played a lot of Dishonored these last few days. And the you know, developers say that they decided to make the character a mute so that you can reflect your own opinions and feelings into the character. But you know, I want to play as a character. I want to play as this Corvo guy, and I want him to have a personality. And I don't play as myself. I'm not an assassin. I don't go around sneaking around roofs looking for people to shoot with my crossbow. Yeah, I haven't tried it. I might like it, but you know, I'm not that sort of character. So why is it that why does this character need to be a mute? And you know, I decided to make my character in Saints Row the Third completely unlike me. I decided to make a white-haired, middle-aged Russian sort of crime lord, crime lordess, I suppose. And I related to that character an awful lot, even though that character was completely unlike me. I liked that character because it was a unique character, and I got to play something different. And I enjoyed that much more than Corvo, even though the game is excellent. Anonymous asked, how come we haven't had sex yet? Well, we have had sex, actually, Anonymous. It's just that I'm a very stealthy lover, or potentially just a very forgettable bedmate. I don't know which one. But it means that most women I don't have. It means that most women I have had sex with don't remember me in the morning, or in the weeks afterwards, which means that most people think that I am lying when I tell them about the women I have bedded. But you know, and so when I tell someone that I have had sex many times with all these amazing women, they don't believe me, and it's quite annoying, really, because I definitely have. I mean, I would go into details, but you know, it would be brutally pornographic. You know, I'm such a ladies' man.